Welcome to Please Me, the award-winning bilingual podcast bringing you bold conversations and big clit energy. Sí, Please Me se puede ver con subtítulos en español. I'm Eve, your host, on a journey from trauma to sexual liberation. Join me and my guests as we dive into conversations around orgasm equality, self-love, body positivity, and essential sexual education. Let's reclaim pleasure and close the orgasm gap, one empowering conversation at a time. If you missed last week's powerful episodes, my deep dive with Susanna Rose Stokes on deconstructing purity culture and the myth of virginity, or the bonus episode about my transformative ayahuasca journey, go back and tune in. These are must-listens for anyone reclaiming their sexual power and healing through spirituality and truth. A huge thanks to everyone leaving reviews. Please Me continues to rank in the top 10 global sexuality podcasts. Your support means everything. Keep the love coming by rating the show and join us on Patreon for ad-free episodes, bonus content, and early access. And be sure to sign up for my newsletter on Substack for more Please Me related news. Please Me is for mature audiences. Sit back, relax, and surrender to the pleasure of Please Me.
The favorite episode was the one that you did with Sean and Amanda, where you guys were talking about the emotional emancipation exposed, like understanding the power and the control wheel.
ASN Lifestyle Magazine is your go-to source for sex-positive, sophisticated content covering everything from the swinger lifestyle and adult entertainment to intimacy, wellness, and more. You can read every digital issue for free, and subscribers get access to exclusive content. See the show notes for the link to subscribe and check out their Instagram. I'm excited to share that I now have a monthly column in ASN called Big Clit Energy, a Please Me series. Don't miss it and subscribe today. Hello and welcome to Please Me, the podcast that aims to destigmatize conversations about sex and sexual health by turning the sheets into our classroom. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Anthony Weaver as my friend and co-host for today. We are going to be doing a season finale of Please Me, and I always invite a friend to join me for my season finale to discuss the season in general and to talk about our favorite episodes, etc. Anthony Weaver is not just a friend, but he is also a podcaster, and his show is called About That Wallet Podcast, where he shares practical advice to inspire the sandwich generation to achieve financial freedom. And so with that being said, I want to welcome you, Anthony, to the show today. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to have a true friend that is a podcaster as well, because I often tell you that many of my friends get glazed over when I start talking about my podcast. And I don't have many friends. The ones that I have, I want to keep. And so I don't want to annoy them with constant conversation about my podcast. But of course, it's my passion. So I always want to talk about it. And you are the person that I talk to most about my podcast because we both have that in common. So it's just really awesome to have a friend in the podcasting space. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I totally agree. Because one of the things about podcasting is that there's a lot going on in the back end that we typically try not to share with the audience because we can overwhelm them. We try to make the podcast available, make it fun, and also put in a lot of energy when we are talking behind the mic. When actuality, we actually talking to ourselves majority of the time when we're doing our solo episodes. It does get a bit lonely.
Yes, it can be a lonely journey. I do a lot of guest podcasts, but this season, actually last season, I introduced my solo podcasts, and this season, I've done many more of them. So it's
Mhm.
become a routine now. And also, this season, the entire season was also bilingual. I started that last season. And so I'm
Nice.
really proud to say that now my show is bilingual. It has subtitles in Spanish, and so it can be viewed in Spanish or in English. And this season, instead of doing 20 episodes, I did 30 episodes because I was
Wow.
also doing my individual solo episodes as well. So Tell me what you think about the season in general, since you did listen to, I think, all of the episodes.
Yes. Since you had to tell me how far to go back, so that was my fault for not keeping up with your show. I'm sorry.
That's
But
okay.
looking to it, listening to it since all the way back to now, I have to say that you can tell the growth and the things that you were doing because you started talking about, hey, I'm a potential person runner up for this award to, hey, welcome to this award winning podcast. And you can actually tell, like, from the conversations you're having, the questions that you're asking, and also the quality of the content. So, those are really the three key things that most audience listen for. And I also listen for mostly the audio is not good. I usually be like, I'm out. I can't finish the show. And thank you for keeping it roughly around 30 minutes because usually I'm like a 30-minute to an hour plus type of guy because I can't do the 15 minutes. It's just too short for me to really let somebody breathe their content and really get it out their system. So thank you for that.
Yes, and a lot of my previous seasons, my shows were about an hour long, and I did notice that a lot of people were dropping off at the end, so I decided to try to keep my episodes at around 30 to 40 minutes. And so that's something that I did continue this season. And so what ended up happening was that I had a lot of guests that really went well into the hour or more. And so I decided to chop those episodes and do part 1 and part 2, and that's something new that I started this season as well. And so there were Kobe Fox was one of those, Hanny Chang was one of those, Carolee and Britton was one of those where I had it in 2 parts. And the Porn Nerds, Kels and Tess was one of those where I had it broken up into 2 parts. And today's episode, I know that we're going to be talking about the whole entire season. So I know that today's episode is also going to be a 2-part episode. So thank you for being willing to stick around and talk to me for at least an hour because I think it's going to be a really great conversation.
Yes, and I commend you also congratulations on completing the 5th season. A lot of people don't even last that long. And like you said that you prefer the length of the activity versus having the right size in one of the episodes.
Okay. Yeah, we you might have listened to a previous season where we talked about penis size, right? And so I think that's what you're referring to. Yeah, absolutely. Penis size is not everything. You have to learn how to use it, right? So it's nice to be well endowed, but if you don't know how to use it or if you're too fast, right, you're having premature ejaculation, that's no fun. Absolutely. All of the details need to be in the right order in order for us to enjoy ourselves, right?
Yes.
So I love that you've been listening for a while and you've been like a fan for a while. And so I appreciate that. And thank you so much for agreeing to listen to all the episodes this season. I know it's a big task, but I hope that you enjoyed overall the season. And I want to ask you, just off the top of your head, what was your favorite episode out of all of them?
The favorite episode was the one that you did with Sean and Amanda, where you guys were talking about the emotional emancipation exposed, like understanding the power and the control wheel. So
Yes.
that one, I really did enjoy that one because it's not just talking about what you're doing in the bedroom, but in the way how politics actually has a say in the way how that you report issues, and especially when you're going against somebody else's boundaries. And when your boundaries are not respected, you actually are protected by some of the laws. But as you mentioned in the episode, is that when it comes to marriage, when it comes to marital rape, that is not covered as much. And I think that should actually be brought to light a lot more to realize that a lot of the laws are still out there for your particular state. So you have to be aware of it. Because here in Maryland, I believe just maybe 2 or 3 years ago, they just got rid of the law where you can still rape your wife or spouse and there will be no charges against it, which is sickening to even think about that. But I'm glad that it's overturned, and I believe it was in October when it finally got through. Commend everybody for doing that. I didn't even know that law existed until I heard about it on the radio. It's
It's
crazy.
insane how these antiquated laws are still in existence, right?
Mhm.
And unfortunately, women's rights are being challenged right now. And I appreciate you bringing up the power and control wheel because I think it's so important for people to understand what people use, what an abuser would use to try and control or manipulate you into either staying in a relationship or manipulating you in some way in a relationship. And I think that those episodes were so invaluable to really help people to understand what true manipulation is, what are the tactics used, and they really broke it down one piece by one piece of the wheel. They like went through every cog, and it was such important information to get out there for people to understand. And when I'm looking back at my relationships and I'm listening to that, I'm thinking, oh wow, that might have been something that was taking place in my relationship and I didn't realize that it was a red flag. And
Right.
sometimes hindsight is 2020. And so absolutely that was really a great couple of episodes. That was one of those two-part episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did you have any besides that episode, did you have any aha moments during listening to the season?
There was a guy, the one that you dedicated an episode to.
Kobe Fox. Yes.
Colby, yes. So one of the things, like, it wasn't like an aha moment, but it was like, oh, that's how they do it type moment. Was the micro injections. I didn't know about penile injections until that episode. I was like, how are they lasting so long? And I'm like, some of these things, I'm like, ugh, I would have went soft easily in those moments. And for him to actually talk about it, to see what's going on behind the scenes to actually make a film, and that is really interesting to learn about. So it wasn't like an aha, it was just, wow, that actually happens, and wealth of information, seems like an all-around great guy. It seemed like he actually wanted to do, like, almost a 4-part episode with him from that
I could have gone on and on
standpoint.
with him. He was such a great guest and he was so smart and had so much information to share with the world. And so we ended up, that was my first two-part episode this season, Kobe Fox. And yes, he was talking about Trimix, which
Mhm.
is an injection that you inject into your penis to keep it hard for a certain amount of time. And he even talked about if it goes too long and it doesn't go down, then you have to have an antidote to take or to also inject into your penis to bring it down because otherwise you can lose blood flow to the area and also it can cause damage to the tissue. So it can be a dangerous thing. So he said that he always had the antidote on hand in case he needed it. And he actually told me a story about a friend of his who that happened to, and he had the antidote and he helped his friend. But yeah, absolutely. That is interesting that you watch porn and you're not really thinking about all of the behind the scenes stuff. But absolutely, if you have to keep your erection hard for so long, it's hard to do when there's so many things going on around you. So that is something that porn stars do use. And he was an OnlyFans creator and unfortunately, he was a tragedy
Mm.
this year or this season, I should say, on Please Me because he passed away just a few weeks after his episodes came out.
Do you know if, or well, you probably won't know, if you even got a chance to listen to it before, to at least like, "Hey, I actually got a chance to listen to it, this is great," or whatever. Did you know if
Never did
chance?
respond to me regarding the episodes. And just soon after that, I found out that he passed away. And so I did do a tribute episode to him because he was such an amazing guest. I did do a lot of research trying to find out how he passed away. But the only thing that I found was a line in one of the articles saying that if you have friends in the LGBTQ community, make sure that you reach out to them frequently and even the ones that you think are doing well emotionally, etc., to reach out to them even more. So I don't know if he committed suicide or exactly how his life ended. It was just such a shock. He was in great health. He was only 42 years old. I really don't know how he passed away, but I did want to find out. Just for me, like I always feel like it helps me with closure. And so I did a tribute episode basically saying that, right? If you have friends that you know are struggling with emotional issues, or if you know that they've disclosed to you that they might be suicidal or they think about that and they have suicidal ideation, reach out to them frequently. They need support. And so that's what the tribute episode was about.
Yeah, and I know you've done so much for the community and you've been doing this for so long. What has been the biggest impact as a podcast host? Has podcasting done for you?
Oh, wow. Hey, now I'm on the spot here.
I'm sorry, we interview each other, sir.
No, that's okay. What has podcasting done for me? I have to say that I've been a physical therapist for many years, over 20 years. And it wasn't until about 6 years ago that I started treating sexual health conditions and treating patients with issues like erectile dysfunction, painful sex, for instance, for women, treating patients with these issues and getting them back into their bedrooms and enjoying life again in the bedroom was really so rewarding. And after my divorce, I went through my own sort of sexual revolution. And at that point, I realized that sexuality, sex, sensuality, physical touch was going to be an important part of any relationship that I entered into. And so it's just become a passion of mine to talk about sex and to talk about sexual health. And so I feel like podcasting has really shown me my purpose in life. So I think that's what it really has done for me. I'm so enthusiastic every day to get into researching about what I want to talk about or having guests on the show. So that's really what podcasting has done for me. And I'm just so excited to go to conferences and just absorb and learn as much as I possibly can because it's a whole learning curve. It's a completely different career that I didn't start off with, but now I'm like jumping in and I'm 2 years in now. I can't believe it's gone
Wow.
so quick and I'm already finishing up season 5. So yeah, that's what podcasting has done for me. How about you? I'm going to ask
Now,
you the same question.
I was asking you because this is like your big finale for season 5, and granted, you've been doing it for 2 years, but sometimes your audience don't get to learn about the host a lot. I know listening to your show, like, it took me several episodes to finally get to know your story. So that's
Okay.
why, as another podcaster to interview a podcaster, I was like, maybe your audience don't know why you started it, or people that are brand new to your show. So for me, when it comes to podcasting, podcasting has opened up a whole world for me. Meaning in a sense of, because for me, I do a financial podcast helping out the sandwich generation build strong financial habits so that they can spend money and all that fun stuff with confidence. One of the things is that got me started was that I didn't know that you can actually pay your cell phone off. And so because of that, I was like, what other things around finances that I didn't know about? Granted, you start thinking back on the different tones and the different conversations that you have with your parents, your friends, or your colleagues about finances. Hey, you need to save money like money, or you money need to make friends, but they never tell you how or sit down with you. And that's one of the things that being a host of a financial podcast, I get to meet so many different people and how they actually learn about finances, their stories, what got them out of their rut when they were stuck in the mud, both feet, hands in, face planted, what kept them driving. And because of that, kind of drove me to continue on to share everybody's story, regardless if you have a business or not, regardless if you're an author or not, regardless if you're a parent, you had your parents or you didn't, if you're adopted. Like, everybody has a story and you're not alone in your story and your craft. And that's one of the things that podcasting has opened up my eyes is to that we are not alone in our journeys, and that a lot of the times people are listening. People do want to get better. And as a collective, just as human beings, we enjoy happiness as much as we have the sadness. And we have to really take a moment to just be thankful that we're here today to actually make a change in the ways that we're doing things that we didn't like yesterday. And if we can be another person, it might take time to rebrand yourself. but the initial change can start today. It will start in the next 30 seconds. So that's the reason why I like your show, is because when it comes to sexuality, yes, it's almost like one of those taboo moments, but it's like we need to talk about it. We need to learn ourselves and getting back to understanding who our bodies are. And especially as like now that we older and have money now, so it's oh, what other things that I can buy? What other toys or things like that? Versus when you're a kid, you just not sure what time parents gonna come home. They might see me doing something. But now that you're an adult, you actually have your private space. So I think that's one of the things that I really do like about your show is that it's opening up my eyes to different things. I'm just a curious person in general, it seems. So, yeah.
Yes, I agree. And both of our shows absolutely talk about taboo topics, right? Because a lot of times one of the biggest taboo topics is talking about money, and for some reason that's always done hush. Why? Our families should really learn how to teach their children about money and about how to manage it. And that's a journey that I've been on with my kids recently because they've been getting into modeling, and when they start getting those jobs coming in, we're going to open up a bank account and we're going to start allocating money in certain different pockets. And my older daughter was like, I'm going to spend a little bit of it, but then I'm also going to save this much. And then I want to invest the rest. And I was so impressed by that because
That's
I hadn't
awesome.
really ever talked to her about it. But I was so proud that she had that sort of idea around what she wanted to do with her money when she started getting paid. And absolutely, I'm managing that. And I'm also observing what, like, all of the other celebrities, not that I'm a celebrity, but all of the celebrities out there are doing with their kids. So they all have them working for them in one capacity or the other and building their wealth from a young age. And so, why shouldn't we be doing that as well? And I don't think that a lot of people are talking about that, but I think it's important.
Yeah, and when it comes to the importance of it, it's just as much as the sexuality side of the house is to understand your going back to your boundaries again, right? You can have your boundaries with the finances as much as your physical body. And like how you said, growing up inside a particular environment, where do they get that from? Or growing up in a particular environment, looking at your mother and father as the pinnacle. And if you don't have that, some people change to the religious aspect. What does that have to say? Which brings back to the episode that I enjoyed listening to. You see that? See how I did that?
Oh, which one was that?
This one is about the mushrooms, moon baths, and marriage.
Oh, with
And
Carolee and Britton.
yes,
Yes.
because they talked about how they grew up in the church,
In
but
the
then
Mormon church, in the Mormon
yes,
church. Yes.
yeah, we got to be specific because that was a very tight community there. And
Mhm.
then to challenge the church in their way of thinking from a like a monocle side of the house where like the man that runs everything, and to actually understand like, hey, why isn't there anything for his wife for the issues that she was dealing with? Why isn't there anything from the psychological things? It's just more so of this is the way it is and move forward. And I like that they challenge, stuck their guns, and continue to explore the life that they want. But I have so many questions that I want to ask, but this is not the time to ask that. I can ask offline.
Yes, they were such an interesting couple, and I haven't had too many couples on the show, but they were a really super interesting couple because they really did try to understand and fix their issues within their relationship within the umbrella of the church, and realize that the church was just not the place to help them to move forward with their relationship, and they were still committed to one another. And after infidelity, of all things, right? A lot of times
Yes.
people infidelity and people are like out the door. They don't even consider trying to work things out, which I think is a travesty because infidelity is a symptom of something that's wrong in the relationship, but that doesn't mean that you can't correct it, right? And if you already have a family and you have love for one another and you're willing to put that aside and try and work on the relationship with which they went around the world like finding themselves and finding their own spiritual path. And I think that's so key for people because they talked about sovereignty, right?
Mhm.
That independence that each individual has. And when we are sovereign, we have to figure out how we want to deal with or what we want to believe in. And so they really found their own spiritual path through trying to figure out how to fix their marriage. And I thought that was a beautiful story.
Yes. And because they actually took that moment to find themselves individually, but also together. And as you notice, because I have so many questions, because I want to ask them too. I was like, why did you stay? That was my number one thing. It was like, why stay? And then secondly,
I think she didn't she answer that question in the episode?
she did, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like, I'm not sure. It's like you take a bite of a sandwich, we're like, how does the middle taste? At least.
Right. You needed more
Yeah, I needed
information.
more. Yeah, yeah. Because
Well,
it's almost, yeah. Okay.
their podcast is called The Magical Story of Us. It's at the very beginning stages of the podcast. They have maybe 5 or 6 episodes, not too many, but they're all about their backstory. And so
Perfect.
you can really get into the nitty gritty of their backstory. And I did listen to all of them because I thought their story was fascinating coming from the Mormon church, which is so closed off to the outside world. And up until maybe 10 years ago, they really believed in polygamy and husbands having multiple wives. And so this was something that was part of their tradition until almost like within the last decade. And so now that the church is no longer doing that, however, I feel like it still exists in a lot of ways. Of course, relationships that have been older than 10 years might have multiple wives, etc. But she was really struggling with the fact that her husband cheated on her, but she was able to put that aside and put her relationship front and center to really heal. And I thought it was such a great story. That's where we'll wrap this episode for now. Be sure to tune in this Friday for part 2 of this fun conversation with Please Me fan Anthony Weaver from About That Wallet, as we dive into the best episodes of Season 5 and share our favorite highlights from the season. If you enjoyed this episode, share it and hit follow or subscribe. Visit pleaseme.online for sex-positive resources on intimacy, pleasure, and sexual wellness. Curious about intimacy coaching or pleasure-centered living? Let's connect. For a free 10-minute consult, download the OWL app and use the code in the show notes. And if this episode resonated with you, leave a review. It helps the podcast grow and reach more listeners like you. Thank you for your support. For ad-free listening, exclusive bonus episodes, Eve's library of archived webinars, and early access to new releases of Please Me, become a monthly supporter on Patreon. Simply open the Patreon app on your phone, search for Please Me, and subscribe today for premium content and more. Cheers to finding your pleasure and big clit energy.